I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day about choice, and we sort of come up with the question of like, well, what really defines choice? What is choice anyway? And what we came to is, well, if you're going to choose, if you're going to make a choice, there has to be obviously some factors to be in consideration to choose between. And when this came to then talking about conscious choice, the question was, what are we becoming conscious of when we're making these choices? And anyway, long story short, or maybe not, we were talking about self-awareness. It came down to this thing of like, if I'm gonna change, if I'm gonna become a better version of myself, or I'm going to change a habit or something simple like that, I first have to learn how to watch myself. And this brings up a very interesting point, which is what we're saying there is there's these two versions of yourself. There's the impulse-driven, reaction, automatic mode, kind of like programmed version that is you. It's like your autopilot. And then there is the pilot, who is in charge of watching these autopilot things go on. Because as good as autopilot is, let's say you're going down the road and you've got cruise control on, okay? So you've got this automatic process happening, the speed staying the same. You still have to be paying attention to where you're going, who's coming out in front of you, because you might have to brake or slow down or whatever it is. So as much as you've got this autopilot thing going on, you have to be still paying attention. And what happens with a lot of us, mainly because we're just not really taught how to do this, is that we forget that we're on autopilot. And we forget that there's these actions that we do. And this often comes out majorly when we get drunk. When people are fucked up, they are their automatic self. Their ability to make conscious decisions is impaired. Most of us, I'm sure, have experienced this. And the excuse comes with that. If we do something, or make a mistake or do something stupid while we're drunk, it's like, oh well, I was drunk. It wasn't me. I was a different person. And we use this language, yet we don't then transcend that to everyday life. Whereas there is this automatic you that if you identify with it, there doesn't seem to be a way out of how to change that. And so the first thing that has to happen if we're going to change something about ourselves is to actually use this ability we have to actually watch the actions that we're doing. Not to change them or anything like that, not to actually judge them whether they're good or bad, just the ability to watch the automatic part of yourself. And at least for me, the result of this is when I'm able to do this, and it's not always possible, it can be difficult, especially in challenging times and stressful times, but when this happens, it's hilarious because it takes away the seriousness or existentialism of those negative feelings that come with reactory emotions and sensations. So something happens, there's an automatic response. That automatic response causes me to have a negative sensation of some description, and then it's like, oh shit, now I'm feeling like this, and this is going to last forever because I'm out of control here. Whereas when you're able to watch what's going on, you understand that the reaction is exactly that, a reaction. An action that is being done again because it worked at some point. There was a point in your history that reaction worked, and it did enough times that your body actually programmed it in. And now it's a reaction, it's an automatic thing. So to watch that and go, that's not who I am, that is a mechanism that I use to navigate the world. Well, now it's just hilarious, because how could I possibly be upset or continue to feel that negative emotion when all it is a little alarm going, hey, this is your automatic system just telling you that this is happening, and it's happening again, and this is how we're responding, and this is the sensation that comes with it. And you go, thanks, automatic system, but don't need that right now. And I know it sounds too simple and that it just wouldn't work that way, but it really is. You have a background program running. If you want to learn a little more depth on this from the master himself, Bruce Lipton, who is the father of epigenetics, he talks about this in depth, and even ways that people can change that programming. But with all of them, the first thing is self-awareness. And self-awareness is not some woo-woo fucking thing that people only do when they're meditating. It happens all the bloody time. It happens. I'm doing it right now while talking to you. It's being aware of how your reactory body, your reactory program is responding to the external stimulus. And that, in its definition, is basically epigenetics. Epigenetics is, how is my body responding to the environment? So how are my genetics being turned on or off in response to the environment? And so this is the cause of almost all dysfunction and disease, is because over time, if those programs go unchecked, or we just sort of push down the negative sensations, the body still is reacting because the program hasn't changed, and so your genes are turning on or off in the same way. And if that happens enough, and we sort of don't want to be aware of it, and we sort of desensitize ourselves to it, then it shows up in different ways. It shows up in pain and stiffness and tension in the body. And this is why I had to start looking into the mind with all of this mobility and postural stuff, because of how much the way we perceive our world has an effect on, not even just an effect, it's like almost the biggest contributor to stiffness and tension in the body. It's crazy. And so this is such a big deal when it comes to your health, your body, and its whole functioning, and getting it back to being back to sort of that balance again, is recognizing firstly the reaction, looking at it, taking that 3 seconds and taking a deep breath, and going, and am I going to choose to go with that reaction, or do I want to do something different? Doing something different can feel so unnatural and weird and almost wrong that we don't want to do it. But it's perfectly understandable that it would feel unnatural, because natural is the reaction. That's the way your body's been doing it for so long, and it's gone unchecked, and your body is very ingrained and comfortable with that reaction. Even if it's a negative sensation, as long as it's known and predictable, that's what the ego prefers. It doesn't want to have to reevaluate every fucking decision. That's why we have an automatic system, because reevaluating every single decision consciously would be so tiresome that we'd just be worn out. And this is what happens to people with overstimulation of thoughts and having to consciously decide everything all the time. We end up overstimulating our mind. So there's a real good reason we have this automatic system. And so learning to watch it and then so you might have a heightened response to something and you go, oh, that's my reaction. I know it's my reaction because it's the first thing that happened. I hope you sort of get this. It's a reaction. It's not you because it's the first thing that happens. But if you're able to reflect on it, you know that it was a reaction, because the thought or the watching of it comes after the actual reaction itself. It has to happen that way. So watching the reaction is a practice in and of itself. Not having to change anything, but just watch the reaction. And then once you've watched it and looked at it, you can then very quickly go from, because there's nothing wrong with pain. You can have a painful or a negative or an uncomfortable sensation, but suffering is the continuation of that sensation because it's gone unchecked. So you have a sensation, you check it, you go, is this what I want? No. Okay. Then you tell your body, it's like, okay, that's not appropriate right now, so see you later. Now, when you first start doing this, it probably won't feel like anything's changing. It doesn't look like it's not working. I sat down in meditation one time, did it one time, I tried it, meditation doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. Some of these programs are so ingrained. They happen to you when you were like 2 years old and are so solidly locked in there and so unconscious that they're difficult. They can take some time. But I remember this, the day that something happens and the reaction, the actual automatic response is genuinely different, you've reprogrammed something, which is so amazing. And it lights me up because I'm like, holy shit, that was genuinely a different reaction to what it normally would be. And so the suffering and the negative emotions and everything that would normally come with that are no longer there, and therefore much more calm and relaxed and zen-like sort of person. So watching your reactions, what a massive tool, particularly in this time at the moment with everything going on. We want to be checking ourselves, not to stop ourselves doing anything or decide whether it's good or bad or whatever, just watching the fear, the judgment, the criticism, all that stuff, how addicted we are to it because it's often our default mode of being. I could go on forever about this, but I will let you go. Enjoy the rest of your day. Catch you later.